So I want you guys to be careful of a NIO stock super crash. Now in my next video, I'll be explaining why NIO's valuation should be over $1,000 a share. But there are some bad news and also some good news coming out from China that I want you guys to know about. Guys, I don't control where the share price goes. All I can do is give you a heads up about the updates happening here in China. And of course, none of this is financial advice. I got bad news and I got good news to balance it out. So guys, the first really bad news is the fact that Evergrande, after 17-month trading halt, is about to resume trading on Monday. And that would potentially just absolutely crash everything because right now, Evergrande still has a 21 billion Hong Kong dollar market cap, trading at 1.65 Hong Kong dollars a share. On Monday, it could potentially just crash 80%, 90%, completely possible. What's your bet for that? And that obviously does not help the bullish sentiment here in China, especially with everything tied to real estate. The other really bad news is, of course, Morgan Stanley losing optimism for the Chinese market in general, lowering their targets for both the Chinese market and also the Hong Kong stock market as well. Now, the reason behind the pessimism for Morgan Stanley is that they said, and I quote, more significant earnings pressure due to property sector issues, local government financing vehicles, deflation, and delayed stimulus follow-through. The downward adjustment to our targets is driven by a combination of much lower earnings expectation in 2023 and a lower valuation multiple assumption, the analyst wrote in the report. So obviously this is going to have an impact on the Chinese investor sentiment, whether we like it or not. And of course, there's good news as well. The good news being China finally opening up and letting people that recently sold their houses to be able to buy a new house as if it was their first house. So this policy is called 认房不认贷, which means even if you have your previous mortgage, you still have to pay the previous mortgage from your first home, but you sold your first home and you own 0 homes, despite you still having the first mortgage to pay off, you can still buy a new home as if it was your first home and you get favorable interest rates and benefits. So that's very good policy. Now, the second really good news also has to do with housing. And they just introduced a new policy where if you buy a new home within 1 year of selling your old home, then you get tax rebates on the new home, which is also very favorable for home prices here in China. And as you guys all know, home prices and real estate are the lifeline of Chinese economy. So this is really supposed to boost investor optimism up. However, what a lot of people have been looking for is further stimulus in the stock market, because people have just, especially investors, stock investors in China, over 70% of the stocks held in China are held by retail investors. And these guys get spooked by anything. So this Morgan Stanley thing definitely does not help with investor sentiment. What investors are really looking for here in China is intervention by the Chinese government into the stock market, further interest rate cuts and cash injections, like the government did back in late 2015 after the 2015 Chinese market bubble. That is what people are looking for. Now, if we look at the price action right now, this is a very scary reminder of what the stock was back at around 27-ish. All right, I want you guys to take a good look at this. So back in January of 2022, I warned you guys that this line is about to get broken. It was as if the stock price is hammering down, like trying to kick down the door. Kick, 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 kick. And then finally the door broke and boom, we got that big price move down, all the way down to 19. From 27-ish to 19 in the span of a few days, just because this very important line broke. This was back in January of 2022. And I actually filmed a video back then warning you guys of this. You're coming down here, you're knocking on this door, you're knocking on this door, you're knocking on this door. What do you think is gonna happen if they knock on this door again, right? Well, we might bounce, but what might happen is the door might finally give away. And if it does give away, then that just means that, you know, we're going to be going much lower. If you take a look at the price action right now, it looks very similar. Bang, trying to kick down that door at 1050. Bang, trying to kick that down the door. Bang, bang. And I think we might have another bang. And we might finally break the low. I hope, I wish we could go further up. And guys, I was very bullish on momentum back here. We had very strong momentum, and we were squeezing the shorts. We were doing good, but then momentum faded. Volume did not pick up. Volume was lower, and of course, what happened afterwards? We absolutely cratered, and it does not look that good right now. We are kicking on this door. I do not want NIO stock to kick on this door. I want NIO stock to fly high, but it looks like we might be possibly heading down. And if this does indeed head down, like what it did back in January of 2022, then what we could get is, if we take a measured move, and this can also be interpreted as a possible pennant, we could potentially see it go down to around $7 again. And this points perfectly down to $7, which was the lows from back in May of 2023. So, coincidence? I think not. So could this happen? Absolutely. But I hope it doesn't happen. Let me stress this further. I hope it does not happen, all right? Guys, of course, we also have NIO earnings coming up. And my personal expectations are not that high for earnings, because Q2 has been a very bad quarter this year, even worse than last year when we had COVID lockdown in terms of deliveries. All right, so my expectation is that could potentially crash the stock down by a lot. But on the flip side, if guidance is really good and people say, hey, look at, we're selling so much, we've overtaken BMW and Mercedes, which they have in July for the ES6 deliveries, then depending on that, you know, the stock could potentially fly. However, I'm leaning more towards it potentially crashing down. All right, just a heads up. Guys, I want NIO stock to fly high up into the stratosphere. I think in the future it will. However, just be careful and be ready. All right, this video wasn't to tell you guys that NIO stock is definitely going to drop. This video is to get you guys informed and prepare yourself in case this does happen. Get yourself mentally prepared. If it does happen, I'm not too surprised. But I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that it doesn't happen. All right. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.